All I can say is wow. The energy has been heavy, heavy, heavy to the start to this year. 2021 is, I think, going to go down in the books just like 2020. We have a lot of change facing us. And sometimes change can be quite overwhelming and stressful because it's all new and we need time to get used to things. We are creatures of habit, we are creatures of comfort, and so when things start to change we really have a hard time sometimes. And so I wanted to talk to you about ways that you can shift your perspective, because I think that's so important, to look at things, to start to grow and change your mindset to what's happening in the world today, so that we can actually achieve the things that we want instead of focusing on the things that we don't want. Because let's face it, that's not fun. It doesn't feel good to focus on the things that you don't want. So I wanted to talk to you today about some things that we can do to kind of pull us back, help us look at the bigger picture, and help us have some kind of appreciation too for what's happening. Wouldn't that be nice? So I want you to just, as we talk about the actions we're going to take, first I want to talk to you about the things that I want you to keep in mind as we move through some of the steps that you can take. So the first thing I want you to think about is that we all have a soul plan. We have a blueprint for this life, and that blueprint is set. It's set before we come here. It doesn't mean that we don't have sort of flexibility, or we have rooms where we could grow a little bit more, or things can change along the way a little bit. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that everything is just set in stone. But what it does mean is that we have a general path. We have a general direction that our life needs to go in, so our soul can complete certain things. We have a to-do list. Our soul has a to-do list, and we have things that we have to check off the list. So in order for us to have the soul growth that we need, it's really important to remember that as we go through adversity, that adversity pushes us and helps us grow and change as a soul being. And that's why sometimes we're going through things that are so terribly difficult. So please remember that you do have a soul plan, that you are growing and changing through all this adversity, and that you're actually becoming more resilient and stronger, to the point where nothing can take you down. The other thing I want you to remember too is that we are human. We do feel things. You are allowed to feel all emotions, to process them. And I don't believe we should bottle anything up or hide anything just because we're going through emotions that are perceived as undesirable. I feel like that is what's gotten us into a lot of trouble, honestly, not sharing who we really are, and sometimes just not really being able to express ourselves has caused a lot of problems. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So allow yourself to feel through all these processes and be a human. We're not robots. We're not meant to be. There's also choice involved in feeling. So obviously, something happens to you, you're going to have an initial feeling. The initial feeling could be any emotion on the spectrum. Could be anger, could be resentment, could be happiness, peace, joy, bliss, all those lovely things. But it can also be the emotions that don't necessarily always feel so good in the moment. But we do have to learn that it's okay to feel them. It's acceptable to feel any emotion or feeling. The issue is that if the feeling or emotion holds us back from doing the things that we're meant to do in this life, or taking us to places we're supposed to go, or helping us to achieve things, then the emotion is working against us. That feeling is working against us. And that is the moment that you need to realize that you do have choice. So we do write our own stories. And I know this is a little bit in conflict with what some people believe, because I know that some people believe that we actually we have fate, and things just happen to us and we can't stop them, and we have to just move along the path and just take everything as it comes. And that's not really what we're here to do. We're creators. We're here to create a path that suits what the general soul goal is for us to do when we come here. Yes, then some things are unavoidable, but some things are meant to be altered by our choice. So I'm going to explain this a little bit simpler. What I mean by this is that you have a choice when a feeling or emotion or experience starts to get too heavy. You do have the choice to be in an awareness to say, hey, I don't really like how this is feeling anymore. I feel like I've already gone through this emotion. Now it's time to process it even further and change the way I feel about this particular topic, because nobody can make you feel anything. So, for example, if somebody said something very hurtful to you, a hurtful comment, disrespectful comment, it means the comment is still hurtful and respectful and disrespectful, but the way that it makes you feel is your choice. Let that sink in for a minute. The way things make you feel is a choice. Now, we can choose in the moment to kick our feet and stomp and cry and scream out loud. You can choose that in the moment, absolutely. But then there's a point where we have to stop kicking and screaming and crying and move on. And that is the point that you say, okay, I've processed this emotion, and now it's time to release the way I feel and then look at it from a different angle. So, the other thing to remember, to keep in mind as we talk about the actions that you can take, mistakes happen, failure happens. There are events that are out of your control. Again, we are human. We are not we're not in awareness of everything all the time. We don't have all the tools sometimes that we need to deal with something. We actually come to earth here without all the tools so that we can learn and use them and grow. Soul growth doesn't happen if you have every tool in your tool belt to deal with every situation. Soul growth happens when you need to problem solve, critical think, and find a way. And adversity will push you to do that. So, we're human. We make mistakes. Get over it. I'm probably going to make a bunch of mistakes in this video, and I'm not even going to edit it because I feel like we make mistakes and there's not enough mistakes out there. We don't see people making mistakes in social media. Nobody says, oh, I had this great failure today, let me share it with you. Most people don't do that. We see everybody's successes. We see the achievements. We don't see all the times when people say, oh, I applied for 10 scholarships and I didn't get any, or I applied to 6 universities and I didn't get in, or I didn't get that job that I was so hoping I got. We don't often see those things, but that's part of life. So your perception, our perception has changed. We think that everything should come to us all the time because we see everyone else getting it. Why can't I get it too? But the truth is that if you're a human, you've dealt with mistakes and failure, and you've dealt with a lot of things that are out of your control. When something happens to you and it really bothers you, the first thing you should ask yourself is, do I have any control in this situation? If you don't have any control to change the actual physical situation, then maybe you have control to change how you feel. And that's where true control comes in. And that's so important for 2021, because here we are in a place where we feel like all our power's been taken from us. But let me tell you, it hasn't, because the power is within you to choose how you behave, to choose how you feel, and how you respond to something. And that is true power. So now, action. We have some action steps that we can take to, again, further shift that perspective. So we've done the thinking part, okay? I realize I'm a soul and I have soul growth on my path. I've got all the soul growth. We also know that I'm going to feel stuff, and I'm going to have to choose sometimes the better response or the better reaction or the better feeling. And I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to fail. And there's way more failure than there is success, by the way. And we're going to have events that are out of our control that seem to be just thrown at us. All that stuff's going to happen. Okay. So we know that it's up there. Next, your action steps. Your job is to go out into this world and start to see and be in awareness of the magic and the miracles of life, because there is a lot of them when you're willing to see them. But you have to make this a conscious effort. So it should be like every day to have an intention to go out into the world and start to see the magic and miracles. And I'm telling you, if you're looking for them, they're everywhere. And some of that magic might be just somebody letting you into traffic. That could be magic. It could be a crazy rush hour. Everybody's crazy trying to get somewhere, and somebody lets you into traffic. Well, that's magic sometimes for me. So I want you to pay attention. There's so much perfection and beauty in nature. There's miracles everywhere. The fact that we are even here in these bodies walking around is a miracle. So that's number one. Pay attention to the magic and miracles. Number two, Realize that you have to take baby steps. So maybe today you recognize something in your life that is going really well, but maybe it's a small thing. Maybe maybe you cooked something and it worked out really well and it tasted amazing. Maybe that's all you have that day that you really feel really good about, but that's okay. You can take one small thing. I had a client who had a really hard time with body image. And when I asked her, what are the things about you that you really like? Pick one thing about your body that you love. She literally liked her toes. That was it, her toes. And I said, that's a good place to start. Baby steps. You start there. You say, hey, I love my toes. They're so cute. I'm going to look after my feet. I'm so grateful for my feet and my cute little toes. And I'm going to appreciate them every day. Then the next step is to move to other places, to see other things within yourself that shine. It doesn't have to be about the way you look. It can be about the way you deal with something. It can be about something you know. How do you problem solve? How do you go through life? How do you remember things? So don't get too hung up on what it is. Just know that it takes time to get to the place where you can shift yourself to a place of self-love for your path. It takes a lot of little tiny steps and choices every day. Part of those baby steps may be, I'm going to decide this year that I'm going to remove obstacles that I have control over. So one of those obstacles is physical health. A lot of people have a hard time with this, but I'm telling you, if you can adjust some of the things about your physical health, you are going to feel so much better. So water, drink your water, make sure you get 30 minutes of activity a day. Try to meditate and ground every day. Do your little aura protection and cleanse. Make sure you're doing all the self-care things. Eat well, sleep well. Do the self-care things that give you the proper start, that make you feel like you actually can attempt to start this day and have a great day or a great week or month or year. Okay. 2021 is going to challenge us and we have to start small. So, next, a big thing is how we talk to ourselves. And you know this, okay? Sometimes we just talk to ourselves in a really rotten way. And one tip that I can give you about this is instead of saying why me and can't, I want you to start to say what if and how. Because just changing that little simple kind of way of talking, you can invite miracles and magic and manifesting the things you want into your life right now. So stop saying can't. Because if your soul is desiring something, it means that it's been on your soul path. It means it's part of your soul purpose. And if you're desiring to do something, it means that you're a smart soul. You've come here with all the tools you need to do that. So go ahead and do it with energy and passion and love, and let go of feeling like you can't do things. You've lived thousands of lives before this one, and you know that you can handle it. So stop saying can't. Stop saying why me. Why you? Why not you? Why not anybody? Things happen to all of us, and that's just the human condition. So the sooner we can accept that, the sooner we can feel like we can learn to manage some of these things that have been thrown our way. So remember, ask what if and how, not why me and I can't. The last piece, which my favorite thing to do, when you are at your lowest and you really can't figure out what to do, gratitude is the answer. Have an attitude of gratitude, and that is what's going to pull you through hard times. And I don't care if you're just grateful for a nice cup of tea, or if you're grateful for your dog licking your face, or if you're grateful that you have kids that leave dirty clothes everywhere. I don't care what you're grateful for. Find something to be grateful for. And I'm telling you, this makes a world of difference. And remember too, that we are in a place of contrast. So if we didn't have contrast, we would not know what the difference was between good, bad, or what we perceive as good or bad. So sometimes we've got to have contrast so we can appreciate what is really amazing and good in our lives. And contrast is hard, and we have to, sometimes it involves losing a loved one, and there's grieving. And grieving is a natural process. Allow yourself to go through it, allow yourself to feel anything. You can be an ugly crier if you want to, you can be angry. It doesn't matter how you process the emotion. Just don't take a vacation there. Don't stay in it too long. Contrast is there to teach us what is good, what to be grateful for, what do we want more of. It's a teacher. So I hope this is helpful, because I feel like 2021, we have to be prepared. Get your schedules in order, get your routines in order, your healthy routines. Look after your healthy body, look after the temple, and make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do to prepare yourself for an amazing year. And I know that we started off a little rocky. I see all the memes around that say, whew, that was a hard year, January. What a hard year. But listen, we can do this. We can get through 2021 and we can shine. We can get through it with flying colors and achieve the things that we have on our list. Just look after yourself. Remember, you're human, and we are here to have a human experience. We're not here to have, the on top of the world godly experience 100% of the time. Thankfully, that does happen, but not all the time. We are human, so remember that. Be safe, look after yourself, and be kind.